Alrighty, y'all, let's get straight into this. The most unfair Need for Speed game ever. Playing it for a few days now, gotta say it's the most unfair game in Need for Speed history. Need for Speed history, keep in mind. Out of all the Need for Speed games, the gameplay is harsh, cops always outrun and eventually crash you. If that is not enough, the races are the most unfair. Keep in mind, out of every Need for Speed game, this Unbound is the game where the races are the most unfair. Your car is at B, you race in B category cars. Suddenly you see every car that is racing you is faster than yours. This has never happened in another Need for Speed game, y'all. It's only Unbound, You cannot even outrun them. Cash payouts are trash, money is always an issue. I think EA wants us to spend another $1,000 on their game without any way to pay it. The customization is trash. The theme is more of an LGBTQ type rather than racing with cars type. There's a whole lot of humor rather than fast-paced racing. Heat was almost badass compared to this one. Need for Speed really messed up with this one. And then you got the little edit right here on the bottom, so y'all can read that if you want to. Now, before we go super ham on this guy, we are going to give him the benefit of the doubt and chalk majority of his complaints up to him just not being good at the game, which is not a personal attack on him, but rather objectively a fact. He said 3 days ago that he had been playing the game for a few days, so I think it's safe to assume he hasn't even played a full week on the game. In that time span, there is no way he knows how to properly boost around corners, micro drift, build cars, and know how to actually be fast on this game. The learning curve for Need for Speed Unbound is definitely up there compared to older Need for Speed games like Heat and Payback, due to having to do multiple things at the same time to actually be fast. But anyway, let's dive into some of the things that he says makes the game unfair. First off is that they state that the gameplay is harsh and that cops always outrun and eventually crash you. I don't really understand what they mean by the gameplay is harsh, so if I misinterpret what they are saying, please forgive me, but Unbound's gameplay is pretty straightforward, especially in the story. Nothing is really thrown at you out of the blue, and things are explained decently well in my opinion. The steering and handling is fine, and can be tuned to pretty much anyone's liking pretty nicely, and overall the game isn't super complicated for those who just want to race on a basic level. Now, the one thing I will say was harsh in the beginning was the traffic and the way it acted during races, but that has since been tuned in the patch notes multiple times and is a lot better than what it was before. As for the cops, if y'all think this is bad, then I can't imagine what you would see Need for Speed cops as. Those must be demon spawns to y'all. Need for Speed Unbound cops are some of the easiest and laziest cops I've ever seen and played against in the story, even when I was still on the lowest tier of cars. The cops literally get next to you and hover by your side if they don't destroy themselves first. So I don't know what the guy is talking about when he says they always outrun you. The way that they are scripted, it doesn't even really allow them to outrun you. They will always match your speed to try and take you down. They slow down when you slow down. They are barely able to follow the path that you take when you take multiple turns in sequence. And in fact, they were so bad that they had to be buffed multiple times throughout the game's lifecycle. But even then, they are nothing more than a glorified traffic bot. The trick during the story mode at least is to not drag out police chases for more than you have to, because the lower your car is, the harder it will get as you continue to get more and more heat on you. The cop spotting distance is terrible as well in this game, and with enough finesse, you should be able to evade all the cops within a few minutes of a race ending. Then he goes on to say that the races are the most unfair. Not just regular unfair, but the absolute peak of unfairness. Let's just forget about how your car will completely freeze up when you hit another player or traffic. How there was once a time when you could bring down exotic cars to the lowest tier. How invincible cheaters run rampant in lockdown and multiplayer. Or how your entire game can freeze when you complete a mission. Those are fair though, right? Those are just a little bit unfair. The races with AI are the unfair part, right? This is one of those complaints where it shows that the Need for Speed community once again doesn't even know what they even want. If a game is too easy, they complain. If a game is too hard, they complain. Everyone asks for the start it from the bottom cliche for each Need for Speed story, but complains when you actually have to start from the bottom and don't win each race immediately from the jump. He says that your car is at B and you race other B tier cars, but all of a sudden every other car is faster than yours. Of course the AI are going to beat you when you're fresh in the story and fresh on the game. The AI are designed to give you competition and push you to get better, so that way by the end of the game you are guaranteed to win the last race without restarting a million times. If you're still using the e-brake to turn your car around corners, then that's why. If you aren't using your boost correctly and only letting it get up to the first bar before using it because you see someone creeping up on you, then that's why you're losing. If your handling settings are still the same way as when you first got the car, then that's why. And the big one, if you are purchasing upgrades without knowing what they actually do, then that is the reason why you are losing. The AI in this game are very easy to beat, but you just need to know what you're doing. Honestly, the hardest part of this game isn't even the racing. It's trying to get a good score on the takeover events with that terrible drift mechanic. The last trophy I needed to get the platinum for Unbound was, I think, to get 200k on a takeover event, and I had to spend almost an hour live on stream doing that due to how hard it is to drift in the story mode. He then goes to say that cash payouts are trash and money is always an issue. Now for me personally, I went to play the story mode after I already had 1500 hours on the game in multiplayer alone, so I knew about tuning the cards and spending money on what was actually needed. However, if you are just out here dropping thousands of dollars on random stuff and you don't know what it does, then that's on you. Money can be a little tight in the beginning, but once again, y'all said out of your own mouths, you did not want Need for Speed to become Forza, where they give you a bunch of money for things and let you go wild. You all wanted this grind, and you wanted to have to build up money for upgrades. Instead of buying body kits for the cars, maybe save that money for the next race. Plus, if I am not mistaken, the game never puts you in a position where you can't do anything because you have no money, or otherwise soft locking the game. There is always something to do to get more money. And honestly, with all the access to Google and YouTube, my mans here definitely could have found out what things do to the car to help out, which would have eliminated the AI beating him problem and his money problem. Regarding the EA wants us to spend $1,000 comment, I don't know what bro is actually talking about, so we're gonna skip that. Now the customization in Unbound. Are we really gonna sit here and call this customization trash? I know it had its ups and downs back when the game first came out, but based off what dude has typed earlier, he wasn't even around for that, so it doesn't even matter. I am not a big customization guy myself, but from the mouths of the people who actually do this stuff competitively and win real money for their car designs in contests, they have said it's great. You still have the body kit choices you can mix and match, you have a bunch of options for wraps, every single car in the game can be customized, and don't even get me started on the number of customizations you can do for cars via the tuning options. I don't really understand how this game has a bad customization reputation from Buddy, even though we have games like Forza running around that let you color the car and that's it. And for those who like to compare this game to games that have had the absolute pinnacle of customization available for players, that does not necessarily mean it's actually bad in Unbound. You guys really do it to yourselves when you keep comparing new things to older things, when if you took the time to learn about the new stuff, you can still do all of the stuff that you could do back then, just in the newer games. One of the complaints that didn't really make any sense to me is how he said the theme is more of an LGBTQ type racing than racing with cars type, and there was too much humor in the game. What does that even mean? You literally race in the first few seconds of the game and throughout the entire story. Just because the game is colorful and doesn't have a piss yellow filter with gray buildings, gray cars, and gray backgrounds, or is constantly wet and at night, doesn't mean it's an LGBTQ type racing game. The themes of the LGBTQ community are definitely in the game and they are advertised, but it's not even remotely close to in your face. I honestly cannot remember any singular instance where the game steps away from Need for Speed and focuses solely on people being gay or anything of that nature. From what I remember, there was definitely corny dialogue spoken by pretty much every single character in the story and corny cutscenes, but that's about it. If there was something significant that was changed due to that theme, I'm sure a lot more people would have said something about it, but I think Buddy noticed it once or twice and considered that too much. And for the second point, we can't have humor in games now? As stated in my previous video, this game is catered towards a younger crowd, and those who are not young are not the target audience. There are one or two scenes in the story that are genuinely funny and that don't take away from the racing at all. You literally forget about it as soon as the race starts because you're focused on winning. But anyway, that's about as hard as I'm going to go on this post, just because, as said before, dude is new, and I have a feeling that he is heavily comparing this game to the older games without giving it a proper chance for more than a few days. So hopefully this guy can learn that all games are not the same, and that if you play a game that has a different title than the last one, then 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a little bit different than the previous one. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.